one of the things that traditional historical researchers will do is to read the direct diaries and the personal writings of people of the time. It's called primary research. And that was all very good. But I found it strangely unrevealing in this way. I read a lot of diaries. In the Civil War, there are enormous number of significant, well-written women's diaries, because it was the women who stayed home and reported the war and how it affected the civilian population, and the men in general didn't have time to do that because they were fighting the war. So there are all of these wonderful diaries. Mary Chestnut's is probably the most famous, but there are other ones that are marvelous. But after a while, I stopped. Cornelia MacDonald is another significant one because it's Northern Virginia, but I stopped because they were all alike. And they were alike in the strangest way. They were alike because you could see they were so Victorian in exactly what they would reveal to you and in what language. They would not really talk about what was really going on because perhaps the mentality in those days was as different as the transportation, the medicine, and the dress. And the way people thought was quite different because they did not write as people today would write or even think. I had to jump 40 years on, 40, 50 years on, to an entirely different war, the First World War. Vera Brittain, Testament of Youth, is the first book I know that really talked about how it was to have a brother and a fiancé and a best friend sign up so fast for those trenches in France because you were not in your manhood. You could not hold your head up if you didn't. And young men fell like flies for the myth of war, for the joining up, for the glory, because they thought, well, both wars, it'll be over in 3 months. I'm going to get a medal. Forever I will be a hero, which is what the heart says to the self, although you never say that out loud. But Vera Brittain was able to write this, and no one in 1860 had those thoughts or understood that. And so I found the primary research to be, frankly, very repetitive and not too helpful. It was Vera Brittain who made me see the war because the First World War is very similar to the Civil War.